Captain Cook, the Medal of Honor, and Hamilton are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is July 12th, 2022. It is the 193rd day of the year. There are 172 days left in 2022. It is the 28th Tuesday in the 29th week and the 22nd day of summer. There are 72 days left until fall. And if today's your birthday, it's a ruby or an onyx. Like I said, I think that is based around if you're rich, it's a ruby. If you're, not so rich, it's an onyx. Today is National Malala Day. Every year on July 12th, the world celebrates the birthday of Malala Yousafzai. At age 17, Malala was the youngest recipient ever of the Nobel Peace Prize. The day also honored the rights of children and women. Malala Yousafzai, sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, I'm trying, was born in Pakistan on July 12, 1997. Malala's father was an educator, and as a result, she developed a thirst for knowledge. The Taliban took over the city in which she lived and banned girls from attending school. Never understood that, not my culture, it just doesn't make sense to me. Why? What's the big deal? What are you afraid of? In 2009, Malala started a blog and wrote about her life under Taliban rule. She also wrote about her desire to go to school. For 3 years, she and her father advocated for the right for girls to attend school. On the morning of October 9th, 2012, Taliban gunmen shot Malala in the head. She was just 15 years old at the time. After 4 days in a military hospital, doctors transferred her to the ICU in Birmingham, England. Multiple surgeries and weeks of rehabilitation therapy later, Malala began to attend school in Birmingham. On her 16th birthday, the young lady traveled to New York City and spoke at the United Nations. In 2013, Time magazine declared Malala one of the world's most influential people. A year later, Malala was named a Nobel Peace Prize winner. In 2017, Malala began her studies at Oxford. She currently resides in England and continues to fight for women's empowerment and education. Very impressive for such a young lady. All right, let's see what else July 12th has given us. 1776, Captain James Cook begins his third voyage. This was also Captain James Cook's final voyage. They left Plymouth on July 12, 1776, taking the route that would go down to Cape Town, on to New Zealand, then to the Hawaiian Islands. After that, they made their way to what is now the west coast of California, and they went on to chart the west coast of North America. They finally got to the Bering Sea and tried to get through the Bering Strait and were stopped by ice and had to turn back. They went back to the Hawaiian Islands to do repairs on the ships and basically winter. When the summer came, they were to go and try again. Things didn't go good in Hawaii. They had a couple dust-ups with the locals, and eventually James Cook was killed, along with a few other of his men. The two ships in this voyage, which were the HMS Resolution and HMS Discovery, were now commanded by Charles Clerk. They sailed north into Russia, where Russians helped them repair their ships and get resupplies, and they made one final attempt to pass beyond the Bering Strait. Well, somewhere during that attempt, Clerk died of tuberculosis. They didn't get through, the ice stopped them again. And new commander John Gore, a veteran of Cook's first voyage, was now in command, and he headed straight back to England. Well, not straight back. They went along the Japan coast and then into China, got resupplied, and headed back the way they came to Cape Town on up to Plymouth. That was the end of Captain James Cook's voyages, never finding a Northwest Passage. 1862, the Medal of Honor is authorized by the United States Congress. To date, there's been 3,525 awarded. The first one was on March 25th, 1863, and the last one we had was December 16th, 2021. I was a little surprised. I always had thought that most of them were given posthumously, meaning after the person had died, they died of their wounds for whatever they were doing. Only 618 got theirs posthumously. Those are really great stories. They write what happened and why they got the award, their commander or whoever puts them in for the award. And those stories are impressive. There's one I've probably talked about on this channel before, but in my opinion, it's one of the more impressive ones. Jack G Hansen during the Korean War. He was actually in the 7th Infantry Division, which I was in years later, obviously, not a Korean War veteran. But this guy decided to stay back as his machine gun position was being overrun. Some of his friends, comrades, whatever you want to call them, platoon mates, were injured. So he told them to get back and he'd cover their retreat and then follow right behind them. He never did. The next day, the U.S. forces retook the position and found him. All of his machine gun ammunition was expended. He was outside of his foxhole with his empty pistol in one hand and a bloody machete in the other, and about 22 dead enemy laying around him. What sucks is Texas claims him as a Medal of Honor recipient. He's not from Texas. He's actually from Mississippi. But when he went to join, the nearest reception center was in Texas. They didn't have one in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, anything around there. Sorry if you guys heard that story before, but I'm going to tell it every single year his birthday comes up or the Medal of Honor gets brought up. 1917, the Bisbee Deportation occurs as vigilantes kidnap and deport nearly 1,300 striking miners from Bisbee, Arizona. 1962, the Rolling Stones performed for the first time at London's Marquee Club. 1967, riots break out in Newark, New Jersey. 1973, a fire destroys the entire 6th floor of the National Personnel Records Center of the United States. 2001, Space Shuttle Program. Space Shuttle Atlantis is launched on mission STS-104, carrying the Quest joint airlock to the International Space Station. 2007, U.S. Army Apache helicopters engage in airstrikes against armed insurgents in Baghdad, where civilians are killed. Footage from the cockpit is later leaked to the internet. Happening now. The January 6th Commission is still ongoing. Trump associate and advisor Steve Bannon has agreed to come in and talk. And last week, White House counsel Pat Cipollone, he came in and talked. Didn't do it on television like past hearings, but he did come in and talk to him. Movies released on July 12th, 1989, When Harry Met Sally. Such a cute movie. Rob Reiner directed a film about two good friends who worry that sex may ruin their friendship. It starred Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. It also had Carrie Fisher in there and Rob Reiner's mom. You may not know it, but if you watch the movie, or if you've watched the movie, Meg Ryan does her scene in the deli where they're having lunch where she fakes one and gets very loud and crazy and everyone in the deli's looking at her. Then they go over to a woman who's ordering her food and she's all, I'll have whatever she's having. That's Rob Reiner's mom and wife to Carl Reiner. Her name is Estelle Reiner. Born on July 12th, 1922, Mark Hatfield. He was a Republican politician who was a senator from Oregon from 1967 to 1999. He was known as an up-and-coming pacifist among Senate Republicans. He served in World War II, which largely shaped his pacifist views thereafter. He steered federal dollars to Oregon to improve the state's healthcare and educational institutions. He was born in the Willamette Valley on a farm near Dallas. His father was a blacksmith and his mother was a teacher. In spite of his views on the Vietnam War, Richard Nixon considered him one of the top choices for vice president during his campaign. And yes, Oregon has a Dallas just like Texas, not nearly as big. Died on July 12, 1804, Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury and aide to George Washington, who was famously killed in a duel to the death by Vice President Aaron Burr. He was an active participant in the Philadelphia Convention, which produced the U.S. Constitution, and he wrote 51 of the 85 installments of the Federalist Papers, which supported the Constitution. He was effectively orphaned. His father abandoned his family after his mother died of a fever. He was also one of the first, sex scandals of politics. He resigned from being Secretary of the Treasury after an extramarital affair from his past became public. And now they have an award-winning Broadway musical about his life. Yeah, that Hamilton, it's about him. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.